aka GK Fralin, and you can call me Glenda. I'm kind of liking saying that. It just seems to make me feel like I'm sounding more like professional radio or something. I don't know, but I enjoy it. Anyway, I do realize that I'm getting a lot more traffic on, well, there's others that I do, but, and I'm getting traffic that is going towards my more personal, as well as the published literature about how COPD affects the body and how it affects me personally. And so there are things that I want to bring out and discuss, because this is an important topic. It's a very important topic. COPD is not the only lung disease. It would also, I talk about going to the COPDfoundation.org. Important. Go there. Lots of information. There's other agencies. Excuse me. There's the American Medical Association. There's, I'm sure there's one for the American Lung Association. There's just a lot out there. So it depends on however much you need to know, because I can't give it all to you. This much I can tell you. I was listening to Dr. Paul Thomas, and it just jiggled something in my mind. He was comparing in an interview that he was doing, he was comparing the studies on vaccines given to children to the studies that had been done on cigarette smoking. Okay? I started smoking. I was born in 1955, and I started smoking when I was about 15 or 16. That was in the late 60s. Okay? Well, late 60s, early 70s. Anyway, I started on a dare, which is not unusual at all. Because I was going to be that good girl. I was a good Christian girl. I was not going to smoke. I was not going to have premarital sex. I was not going to do this and do that. Never say never. Never say never. Anyway, back then, okay, the study he talked about, or studies, followed like 100 non-smokers and 100 smokers or more over decades, that started in the 1950s. And they studied these over decades and decades, because that was the only way they were going to find out from the start of smoking until the symptoms and the diseases really started affecting the body. At least as far as cancer and COPD and other things are concerned. So, I don't need to apologize for starting to smoke. Nor do I need to apologize for giving up smoking. Or I won't apologize for giving it up, for being addicted to it. Because if you remember the movie, or if you ever watched it, the movie The Whistleblower, it's one of Russell Crowe's earlier movies, I believe. He has a tendency to play real people, and he not easy. Some say he's not easy to work with, but that's not the thing I'm worried about or talking about. He played the whistleblower, which was about a chemist who worked for a tobacco company, and he, of course, had signed a confidentiality agreement, la-di-da-di-da, but he, in good conscience, could not continue to do what he was doing without saying something. And then so he actually blew the whistle on something they were putting into cigarettes that would addict people to nicotine. Nobody knew this. We knew about nicotine. We knew about tar. We did not know why we were addicted to it. We didn't even really know we were addicted. We would say, oh, I can quit, I can quit. But yet our lungs would crave it if we tried. And I mean painfully crave it. And headaches and, all that stuff. So it's like when you are used to drinking coffee and you get a caffeine headache when you don't. Okay, so back to that. So anyway, this is why we smoked. Just about everybody in there was smoke. I mean, my parents didn't smoke; they didn't drink, but a lot of parents did, and so the kids didn't think anything of it. And a lot of my friends' parents smoked, and so they smoked. Now, I'm not going to give the excuse why I smoked younger than was legal, other than the fact that those who were of legal age were willing to buy us the cigarettes. But all you had to do back then was go into anywhere and say, my mom wants me to buy her some cigarettes. And they'd believe you. It was nothing unusual. We'd smoke at our desks, we'd smoke at our professions. Even as a nurse, we'd smoke at the nurse's desk. You think that's nuts? At the time, that was the norm. I can't believe it myself, but we did it. Anyway, okay, here we go to the personal. I hope you understand now that there are reasons why you don't smoke as opposed to reasons why we did. Those of us who have this or are affected by it. Some never get these diseases. Why, I don't know, but they don't. And you're not safe from any lung disease because there are other factors that can be contributed to either they can be contributed to pollutants in the air. Radon is one that's been targeted, all kinds of pollutants. Asthma that's a lot of times genetic. So anyway, let's get back to the meat. Okay. When I finally admitted that I had something, because you don't want to. I attribute, because when I found out I was bipolar, they put me on, one of the drugs that they put me on after a while was Depakote. Depakote is a seizure medication. Most medications given for bipolar and even others are seizure medications. They just work on the brain in a similar way. Okay? They're also finding that Neurontin is another one, which is actually prescribed for shingles because it has a nerve, it works on the nerves and it works on the pain that that is especially attached to nerves and nerve endings. Anyway, because that's what shingles does. It follows a nerve path. Now, I'm getting a little excited because I'm going to tell my story. So I attributed to the weight gain when I started getting shorter of breath and shorter of breath and shorter of breath. I was complaining to my doctor. I remember complaining. I was doing 2 miles a day on my treadmill, and I still could not lose weight. And then all of a sudden, I started losing weight. I lost 25 pounds in a short period of time. And I thought, okay, this is why. I am not Lost my train of thought. I'll be back. Okay, back to the rapid weight loss. I started using what I call my 2-minute rule. I would eat one serving of food, one at a meal. I would eat one serving of each part of the meal. And then before going back for any seconds, I would wait 2 minutes because that was how long it took my brain to tell my stomach that it was full. So I didn't end up overeating and then getting this overly full feeling. So I dropped 25 pounds. I thought, hallelujah. Well, the doctor was a little concerned about that. I wasn't. And I assured him that it was because of this dieting thing that I was just doing that I had done before. Anyway, it turned out it was because I was having so much, my body was working so much to keep oxygen in my system. What really brought it to the head, I started bleeding from my lungs. I was actually holding a thing to my mouth with blood. I was gurgling blood. My husband came home. He took me to the doctor. I wasn't going to drive with this stuff coming out of me. How could I? So he came home from work. He drove me to the hospital. We went to see, well, my doctor actually gave me a treatment which stopped the bleeding. Thank goodness. But the day that he had me scheduled with an ear, nose, and throat doctor, because I just knew it was coming from my throat, from a lot of coughing. Turned out that's not what it was from. Because he did an endoscope, put it down through my nose, down through my, and into my, bronchioles and all of that, and there was no blood coming from there. And when he looked at the blood, he said, I knew right away that this was not, that this was not from your throat or coughing, or your throat or raw throat. He said, because of the amount and because it's frothy. And he said, that doesn't come from there. But I wanted to do the test anyway. He said, I'm referring you to a pulmonologist. He said, because this is coming from the lung. I was taken aback. So then I went through a whole bunch more stuff, and I will talk to you another time about that because I'm getting very long. But that was the symptom that really brought it to light. Something was wrong with my lungs. Okay, so that is the beginning of that story and the ending of another, the ending of the denial. My stars! See you tomorrow.